Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fanfiction Haven, and it's the actual episode 3 this time, not the one that got ruined, though that one is still up on my channel. I'm your host, Opal the Dragoness, and I am coming to you today with a broken bottom. I am... okay, I have to get this out of my system, I gotta talk about it. I'm not in the garage this time. I'm in my bedroom because I actually have the house mostly to myself. I mean, my grandma's still upstairs because I gotta take care of her, but mostly got my place to myself. So that's nice. I can actually sit in my bed on my side, not on my bottom. I don't know if I chipped or sprained or I did something to my tailbone. And let me tell you what happened. So I was running up and down and I was doing a bunch of like cleaning and everyone was kind of working together. And I was gonna head downstairs and my phone was in my hand, and thank God that when I fell, my phone didn't break. But I fell and I broke. Morris, my cat, was at the top of the stairs doing his usual thing, going meow, and then because he wanted to go outside, and I was like in go mode, you know. I was cleaning, I had things to do, and I opened the door and the next thing you know, I'm just like, wah! And then I literally, my feet, like, I tripped over him, but I didn't really, like, it's more like he startled me, and I fell backwards, like, if I'm at the top of the stairs, like, my feet were going down. My tailbone hit, how can I explain this? Imagine at the top of the stairs, there's like probably 20 stairs going down. I fell down the first 4, just airborne. Did not touch until about almost halfway down the stairs. Then it's just bang, 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 bang. Down the stairs. I'm a little less than halfway down the stairs. It was really bad. Like, I must have hit my bottom at least like 4 or 5 times on the way down. But the first time that I fell, there was like, it was like halfway from the top. Like, I really hurt myself, and I have been so sore for the past few days. I haven't even been able to really sit on my bottom, but if I do, then it hurts more when I get up, and it's just been absolute agony. Let me tell you, like, I wanted to sit at my computer, I couldn't. And then when I tried to, I have this little setup where I put another chair around the side of my desk so that I could put my legs up. And then that helped me to be able to at least somewhat kind of lay down at my desk, but still use it. But even then, I gotta get up, and every time I get up, it's just like, oh, you know, it's horrible. It is so much pain. Anyway, that's not what this episode's about. I just wanted to talk about that to open it up. I wanted to talk about, obviously, fan fictions, because that's the point of this podcast. But, you know, also, this is talk about me and stuff like that. So I have been on a roll, writing a whole bunch of stories, and adding to older stories. I have some that I've been struggling with for a while. And I actually have quite a few sequels in the works. But before I get into the details of my stories, I actually did something. Whoa, I did something that I am extremely embarrassed about, even more embarrassed than falling down the stairs. I reached out to another YouTuber who reads creepypastas, and I'm like, hey, do you want to read my fan fiction? And looking back on it, I feel, I cringe, because it's like, of course they're gonna say no. He didn't say yes, or he didn't say no, he didn't say anything. It was only like a couple of days ago I sent the message out. I literally messaged Nature's Temper through his official email that he has on his YouTube site, and I don't know, it was 2 in the morning, and I had this thought, you know, he's done lots of creepypastas, and some of them are kind of like borderline fan fiction. I mean, if you look at the Cerber stories, like, some of those have like brief mentions of, like, you know, literally Captain Hook and you know, like Fenrir and stuff. So I thought, okay, well, I'll shoot my shot, I guess. And, you know, the worst case scenario, he either doesn't say yes, he doesn't say anything, he says no, you know. I'm expecting him to either not get back to me or to say no. It'd be cool if he said yes, because, you know, his voice on some of my stories would be absolutely amazing. But probably he's going to say no, and that's okay. You know, I just feel kind of silly even having to look back and ask it. You know, like, what's the worst in putting yourself out there, you know? Anyway, so I'm just gonna have to do it myself. The one that I wanted him to voice was Symbiote at the gas station, and its sequels, you know, Carrie and Host and Symbiote Smitten, all those three are the same story, like, line, you know, like there's one after the other, it's a series. And the reason that I wanted him to do it is because, as you know, I am female, and trying to voice characters that are male is a little tricky, but then trying to voice Venom, it's like, yeah, that's a little difficult. Not gonna lie, that one's pretty tricky. But I actually did narrate the first chapter of one of my stories already. I did Butler Brother, Pay It Forward, and yeah, so I did the first chapter of that, and there was Mobius and there was Thor. I don't have too much trouble voicing Thor. It's more like, you know, trying to, you know, catch the cadence. Like, I would like to think that I am very, very good at writing dialogue and capturing character voices on the page, but actually voicing it is another thing. I was trying not to make Mobius too casual, so I did my best, but that one is up on YouTube right now. You can check it out, but there's no music, there's no sound effects or anything. I might do one later where I do music and stuff, but I just, you know, some people don't want music or sound effects, you know. I know most people probably do, but for me, this is more just me practicing. I like to think of it less as like me reading a story of like the form of a creepypasta, and more like me reading a story in the form of an audiobook. And sometimes audiobooks don't have music, and that's, you know, so I just wanted to practice. I considered talking about Butler Brother on my podcast here, but I don't think I'm ready for that because I want to actually narrate the story. I'm going to be doing more narrating today just on my own. I might post a video, I might not, it depends. But I have a couple of chapters up, and I want to at least narrate up to the point of what I've already written. Now, I've captured Thor pretty well, but capturing Loki is going to be a whole other beast in itself. And I'm going to try to resist the urge to put on a British accent, because Tom Hiddleston is British, right? But I don't want it to be, like, comedic, you know? Like, I didn't put on a mildly British Australian accent for Thor, you know, because, you know, Chris Hemsworth. But no, I want it to be more focused on just capturing the story and the life and, like, the tone and the expression, rather than trying to do a caricature, if that makes sense. So yeah, I think for the story portion of this podcast, I'd like to talk about Kitsune Kin. So this is one of many stories I've written where, you know, Loki and Thor, you know, they end up being, you know, parents. Usually Loki ends up as a parent, but this time it's both of them. So there's Mizu and there's Torin. So Mizu and then Toren is how you spell their names. And Mizu is Loki's daughter, and Torin is Thor's son. And they are half siblings. Now, you do the math on how that's possible. Yes, so their parent is the Empress of the yokai realm. And call me cringy, anime, whatever, I don't care. I like to play around with crazy, silly ideas, and this was one of them. So the idea is that when Thor and Loki were very young, like teenagers, they were both kind of, you know, a little wilder, and what did I call her? Was it Izumi or something like that? I can't even remember the name of the character in my own story, because it's been so long since I actually wrote the first part of that. But she's the Empress of the Yokai Realm. She kind of rules with an iron fist. and she's a kitsune, so, you know, fox spirit, nine tails, whatever. And she took a different form for Thor and a different form for Loki. She slept with one, she slept with the other, she had a baby with one, she had a baby with the other. Thor and Loki had no idea about the existence of these children until the children grew up. They escaped from their mother, and they come to Asgard looking for asylum, for, you know, protection and all that. And they're given it, but Odin doesn't really want to accept them because they're illegitimate and they're from another whole other, like, spiritual, well, not really pantheon, I guess you could call it a pantheon. There's a lot of different gods in Japan or whatever, so that's that. So the two of them show up, and this is, you gotta understand the context. So in this context, it's right after Frigga, like, died, but then this is a timeline where Loki didn't fake his death on Svartalfheim, and he instead helped Thor, and then they come back to Asgard, and then, you know, so these two kids show up, and they decide that they're gonna do a blood test just to prove that they are who they say they are. The blood test comes out, and, you know, Mizu and Torin are the children. Now, when you imagine them, I'm sure up to this point you've been imagining two people, but you need to imagine more. See, Mizu, in her regular kind of humanoid form, she looks like a woman, right? But she's got the little fox ears and a little fox tail, and she's got like dark hair and, you know, dark fur and all that kind of stuff. You know, I'm sure you've seen that. If any of you have ever seen anime, you can picture it, right? I'll probably have some AI generated thumbnail that'll show it or something. Who knows? Or I might just do a thumbnail of me breaking my bottom or something. I don't know. What I'm gonna do for the thumbnail. But focusing on the story, Torin is a giant golden fox, and I mean he's big. He's a big boy. Very big. And he doesn't talk much because of trauma. And that's actually a common thing that I do for a lot of my characters. Like, I am not ready to talk about my caricature, or not caricature, like my persona, you know, my scale sona, whatever you call it, dragon zona of Opal. But that there will be an episode for her, but she also has trouble talking. She's not in this story, but, you know, you'll understand later. But Torin has trouble talking. He seems stoic, but he's actually really not. He has this kind of severe anxiety, and he's kind of wild, and he's very sweet though. But, you know, he and his sister are like a bonded pair, and that actually means more than you think it means, which is part of the reason why they needed to escape. And I'm not going to do as many spoilers for this story as I did for previous stories, just because I really would love for you guys to read it if you're interested. If not, maybe I'll just narrate it later. I'd like to, at some point, narrate all my stories. But yeah, let's just say there's some very foxy shenanigans that happen, a lot of shape-shifting. I think, oh yeah, at one point Loki and Thor actually, like, Loki transforms himself and Thor into foxes just to kind of stick it to Odin, who's trying to be really, like, rigid about everything, and it was very sweet. There's a lot of themes in this story about trauma and about, you know, family, and, you know, accepting each other, and a little bit of, I'm not gonna go as far as to say that, you know, Torin or Opal are autistic, but they definitely are autistic coded, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of traits there that could be construed that way, but in my mind, I think they could be. You know, I think I put a lot of myself into the characters that I write. But I don't really, you know, change characters that already exist unless it's like an alternate universe kind of thing. But when it's my own original characters, I definitely put a lot of myself into them. I think most writers, you know, most good writers at least, or even bad ones too. I think we put ourselves into the stories and the characters that we write because, writing is a form of, vulnerable expression. It comes from the deepest part of ourselves, the deepest part within our hearts, within our minds. You're taking a literal piece of yourself and you're giving it form. And you're sometimes, in my case, if you post it on AO3 or wherever, you're making it publicly available. And that takes a lot of vulnerability. And, you feel exposed. Even if you just have an anonymous kind of thing. Like, I'm pretty anonymous. I'm not as anonymous as I used to be. It's not like I have my real name on the channel or anything. Or my AO3. I don't. I'm just Opal the Dragoness, which, I named myself after one of my characters, who is also inspired by myself. If that makes sense. But not completely. I'm not as bad as Opal is or Torin is as far as talking to people. Like I can be very guarded if it's someone that I don't know. The online sphere makes it a little easier to talk to people, but I actually don't really talk to people online. I'm going to be honest. I used to, and I got myself into a lot of trouble that way. Not like bad trouble, but just like other people hurting me kind of trouble. And I need to protect myself emotionally, So, like, that's why I don't tolerate bullying online anymore. And that's the other thing. I'm not sure whether it was the first or second episode that I brought out the fact that I was really badly bullied when I was online. First time posted a fanfiction to fanfiction.net. I think it was the first episode I talked about that. And people sent really nasty, disgusting messages to me. And I actually experienced it again. And I've lived so much of my life in fear of, oh God, what if that happens again? And it did. Not the nasty part, but just like mean. And people are like, actually. And they don't know what they're talking about. And it's like, did you even read the story? Or are you just like putting your own headcanon in there that's not actually official according to the story? And did you even watch the show? It's like, these people don't know what they're talking about. And so if I see a comment that's pretentious or mean or generated by a robot or, then I will remove it. And for my own mental health. I know people are like, oh no, you should keep the comments for like the not the retention. What's the word? Engagement. And it's like, I don't want that kind of engagement. If you're gonna leave a nasty comment, I don't want to open up my page every time and be reminded every time I look at my story in the comment section that comment is there. I don't want that there. I don't want other people who are there who genuinely like my stuff to see that nasty comment either. So I'm gonna remove it, and I don't care if people think I'm too sensitive. It's like, I am protecting my own mental health by removing nasty comments. And that's it, as far as that's concerned. And don't get me wrong, I can take criticism. I've shown some of my stories, not certain ones that are, pre-approved. I've shown some of my stories to my own family. My dad, my mom. I've let them read some of my fan fictions, like Symbiote at the Gas Station Chapter 1. My dad read that. He loved it. My mom read a little bit of Frosted Fate, and she loves it. And sometimes my mom has read something and she'll be like, well, you're a little bit too negative on this part, and have you really considered this? And then I'll be like, oh, well, and then I get depressed at first, and then I think about it. I'm like, no, that's right. So yes, I can take criticism, but when I put my stories out there, I'm not looking for criticism. I'm just hoping that someone will enjoy it, and that's great, I don't want to foster a community of people that are critical of each other or correcting each other all the time. I spent too much of my life around people like that, and when I was younger, I used to be like that. I used to be so critical and just nitpick at every little thing and instigate arguments, and I don't want to be that person, So I'm trying very hard not to be, and to not surround myself with people who are like that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Or are you? Anyway. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough rambling for one day. It's been about 20 minutes. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And I'm not sure what footage I'm going to put up there. I'm not sure if I'm going to do RimWorld, if I'm going to do maybe another farming game, or whatever. Who knows what's going to be up on screen during this podcast. But I appreciate you. Thank you for coming. And you know what? Why don't you leave a comment and let me know what brings you joy? I would like that. All right. I will see you later. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to have more of this and show some appreciation. And if you're interested in my stories, go to my description, check out my AO3. I'm sure there's something there you might like. And for all of those of you who also watch me because of my animations, I am happy to report that I am working on a Jax gets eaten by a dragon animation. So it's coming along slowly but surely. It will have sound, so you can enjoy that. Anyway, bye-bye now.